Hey, and welcome back to the CK Fact. Thank you for joining me. And firstly, I am going to apologize because I've been really slack in recording my next episode. I've had people ask me when the next one's coming out because everyone likes to listen and wait. So I'm really sorry about that. Yes, life does get busy, and I'm sure you can all relate, but it's no excuse. We talk about if you're going to do something, continue doing it. And I've kind of put this on the back burner, but I'm really excited to be back today because this episode is a bit of a personal one for me. Today's episode is about my journey, my career, the challenges I faced, the lessons I've learned, and the moments I felt like saying, you know what, enough's enough. I'm just ready to give up. So when I sit back and I think about when I first wanted to, when I first finished school, basically, I genuinely thought I wanted to be a doctor. I've always been a people person. And the idea of helping others just made so much sense to me. But then reality hit. My husband and my family would laugh at this because I am the worst person with needles. I can't even get a blood test. I can't even swallow tablets. Like, I'm just not doctor material. So that dream quickly took a backseat. Over the years, playing with family's kids and, playing school and everything else as you're a kid, I kind of decided I go into childcare instead. I thought I've got the patience, the care, the nurturing side. Maybe that's the path. I went to college, I studied my diploma in childcare, and eventually at uni, studying Bachelor of Primary Teaching. But at the same time, I started looking at other options out there. I knew I wanted to go and be a teacher, but at the same time, because of my social side and always been out there, I started looking at real estate. I liked the structure of the school, holidays, but something about property just excited me. It seemed fast-paced, social, and dynamic. And if you know me, you know I love people. I love to chat. I love to connect. Getting into real estate wasn't easy. It was a male-dominated industry at the time, and job hunting was so tough. I'd apply for roles, they'd tell me it's taken, but back in the day, before the internet was so popular, we used to go through the newspapers and look for jobs, and I kept seeing the same ad in the paper day in, day out. I used to call them, they used to tell me no, it's been filled basically, but never was. So what I did was I basically researched the real estate offices in my area, and there was one office which I came across, and they had multiple offices. In fact, they had 8 offices, a very strong reputation, and decided this is the company I want to work for. So what I did was I spoke to one of the agents at the time. He actually came to my house to do an appraisal, and I started talking to him about real estate, what his boss was like, why he enjoyed working there. And one of the things was, they were family business, they were supportive, they were there for everybody, everyone just got on really well, and to me that sounded like a dream. So what did I do? I took my resume, went down to the first office which was close by to me, dropped my resume off, and then I followed up with a phone call. I rang the big boss himself. At first he said to me there was no positions available, but I kept persisting, and I'm pretty sure he really got sick of me. Eventually he agreed to meet me. I'll never forget that interview. It was the owner, his son, and his daughter all in the interview room. I was so nervous. But when I looked at it, I thought, wow, this is really family business. They're all there. And you know what? In that interview, that is where I got my first shot. I didn't claim to know everything about real estate, but I was young, I wanted to learn, and I was eager to become something and make something of myself in the industry. When I started in sales, I was the only female salesperson in my office. There were all these guys, which are legends. And believe you me, I still speak to most of them today. A lot of them are still doing so well. They've got their own businesses. They've got their own companies, and these are the people that I learned from. They're just the most successful agents out there. And I couldn't have asked for a better journey in my career with these people. It was hard work. I'm not going to say it was easy. There was a lot of learning, but it shaped me for who I am. The training, the mentorship, the people. It made me fall even more in love with the industry. Over time, I started climbing the ladder. I wanted to do more than just sales. I basically wanted to learn everything about an office so that if anybody asked me a question, I knew everything. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes we can't know it all, but all we can do is try. I was with the company for nearly 10 years before I decided that I needed a change. And the reason why I needed a change was because we had an incident in our family where my brother passed away. That shook me, and it was the biggest heartache that I ever had to go through in life. Firstly, for the reason of how he passed, and secondly, he was so young, and thirdly, the fact that I didn't even spend enough time with him. It makes you realize that life is really short, and I needed to start asking myself, what is it that I wanted? Is this the journey I want to go on for the rest of my life? So I took a step away, wanted to find myself, work out what it is. A friend of mine said to me, why don't you give finance, a go in the car industry? And I was like, okay, well, let's give it a go. So basically, I went into a dealership, completely different, learned new skills. Basically, I could talk about finance, insurance, made it easy when I was buying a car and looking at insurance. I knew exactly what to ask for and knew when people were overselling me because that's what I was doing. But the funny thing is, real estate was always in the back of my mind. I always wondered where I would be. And the biggest thing is I had clients coming to the dealership to buy cars and I sold them their homes and they were like, I was wondering where you were, we really miss you, wish you could come back. So guess what? I made a decision and I was going to go back into real estate. I had so many different roles. I went back as a personal assistant, executive assistant, operations manager, and general manager. But each role taught me something new, and I'm so grateful for the mentors who guided me. It wasn't easy. But even with that success came more lessons. Along the way, my mum passed. She got really sick and she passed. And I was really enjoying what I was doing, but at the same time, was I fully putting all my time into my family and focusing on me? And honestly, I started getting burnt out. It was too much. It hit me so hard losing my mum and my brother, and something needed to change. I realized that we are all replaceable at work, but in this life, we are not. We have one chance to get it right, and we need to make sure we get it right. I missed so many birthdays, milestones, and time with loved ones, all in the name of success, but at what cost? After stepping away, I thought I was done with the industry for good. But then I was approached about a new role, in real estate still, but on a corporate level. It was a huge decision because I was so sure that I was done with real estate. The fear of uncertainty was real, but I said yes. The first few weeks were tough. I was used to being in control, and suddenly I was learning everything from scratch again. But nearly 4 years later, here I am, still standing, still growing, and still learning. And this time, I'm not losing sight of who I am. I've learned to speak up when I'm struggling, to take breaks, to set boundaries. Because if I'm not looking after myself, I can't give my best to anyone else. Not my team, not my clients, and definitely not my family. So here's what I've learned. Don't keep pushing just for the sake of it. If something doesn't feel right, speak up. You deserve a life outside of your job title. And the biggest one, put yourself first. Stress is real. Pressure is constant. But if it ever feels like too much, pause, breathe, and talk to someone. Don't be afraid to go after what you really want. Always try and reach for the top, yes, but make sure you don't lose yourself along the way. And I'm speaking from experience. When I look back at my career now, I think, wow, it's been hard, it's been messy, it's been beautiful, and I'd do it all over again, but I'd do it differently. Because life is about lessons, and if my journey can help just one person avoid burnout, find balance, or believe in themselves again, then sharing this has been worth it. People often ask me how it all started. I'll tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's real, and that's what makes this journey so worth it. Thank you so much for listening to the CK Effect. If today's episode hit home for you, I'm so glad. Always feel free to leave a review. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care.